What's up, everyone? I'm Katie.
I'm Taylor.
And this is the Giggles and Gossip podcast. A little bit about me is I'm 18 years old. I've been a competitive rock climber for a little over 10 years now. I have been on the U.S. national speed team off and on for a few years now, and I just made the 2024 speed team. I also competed on season 14 of Ninja Warrior, and I won the women's championship that year. I blew up my knee before filming last year, so I've only competed 1 year, but that's okay. You can only have 1 year.
And?
Oh, I have type 1 diabetes. That's pretty cool. Not really, but maybe if you have type 1 and you're watching, that'll be good.
Just forgot about that.
I always forget about that.
Anyways, I'm Taylor. I'm 16. I'm from Colorado, and I have been doing ninja for about 7 years now. I grew up doing gymnastics and kind of transitioned into ninja. I was on all 3 seasons of American Ninja Warrior Junior, and then I have been on the past season of American Ninja Warrior season 15, and then I will be on season 16 that's airing this summer as well.
And the women's championship.
And the women's
That's
championship
cool.
that's airing this summer also.
It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to do.
Yeah. How was it like getting to compete on the show again after so many years and like watching so many years? And, like I know season 14 was not like the easy year for you to watch.
Oh yeah.
So how was it like finally getting that moment and not only getting it performing so well?
Yeah, it was definitely tough the couple years once I aged out of junior, but I couldn't compete on the actual show because I wasn't old enough yet.
Right.
Especially the year season 14 right before I competed, like everyone going out and competing when I couldn't be there was really tough. And it was a lot harder when I couldn't be there watching, like in Vegas. It was so much easier just to like, because you still got to experience it, you know? Yeah, and then, you know, I got the call for the next season, which, you know, was the plan, and I was expecting to get it, but it's always scary.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was scared.
It's terrifying, and especially because it had been like 3 weeks that people had been getting calls, and I was one of the last people to get called, and I was freaking out.
I remember where I was. I was for season 15 and 16, I was in Salt Lake City. I was by myself in an Airbnb. Like, I was there for a 10-week training, or 10-day training camp.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing all the Instagram posts, and I'm just getting, it's just so, like, scary. It doesn't matter if, like, you think or you know that you're a guaranteed spot. Like, it's also not guaranteed.
Yeah, it's
like,
not at all.
Even if it sometimes feels like that. And it was just so scary. And everyone's getting the call, and I'm getting, like, the text from a ton of friends.
Yeah.
I am freaking out. And I'm waiting for one of my friends to, like, come pick me up so we can get dinner. And then all of a sudden I get the call.
Yeah.
And, like, my heart just, like, dropped. Like, it was the same exact feeling. It was, like, I was so nervous. And then I just, like, got off the phone. No one was there. I just needed, like, a hug because I was, like, the emotions were insane. And then, like, my friend came and he, like, freaked out. Yeah. It's just, it's such a scary.
It is.
And then, like, before season 14, too, because, like, within Ninja, I felt very much like a nobody within the sport, especially at that point.
Right.
I was just so scared. And then I was at climbing practice, and I got a text from the producer because we're waiting for a call. But this season, any of the teenagers, they were texting them.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that your parents could be on the phone call.
Right.
I get I get a text from a random number. I don't look at this text. I don't look at it for like 40 minutes. Like, I'm just like, whatever. I was training. I finally look at my phone. And I was like, what? Like, I just freaked out. Like, and then I called my dad, and he was like, the producer was like, oh, we could do it tomorrow if you want to. And I was like, I know that I'm probably getting the call right now, but I need him to say it for that to, like, feel real. And then, like, my coaches were just, like, I was not focusing on what they were saying in practice. Mm-hmm. No clue what we did that day. And then my dad, like, came to the gym, and I, like, went out to the car, and I'm like in a harness in the car, like, taking this call, and I was just, like, crying. But yeah, it's just like such an insane feeling.
When I got the call, I have a funny story. So, like I said, it'd been like 3 weeks of calls going out, and we knew that they usually only go for like 3 or 4 weeks, so it was getting really scary. And Emily had texted me like 15 minutes before I got it. She's like, I just got the call. And like, I was so excited for her because obviously, like, we've been training together, and I know that she deserved it, but I was like so scared inside because I was like, that's like,
and Emily's like one of our best friends.
Yeah, and
who
I
does
was like,
ninja. Yeah.
I was so excited for her, but then it like scared me even more because I was like, what if she was the last one? Like it was getting late. It was like 8 o'clock.
So scary.
And
especially once it's your region.
Yeah.
It's
And but well, the
terrifying.
thing is though that my region had already been called.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And then we were like the last couple people. It was so weird. But I was at my grandparents' house and all my grandparents and like cousins were there and they didn't know. The only person that knew was my mom. And I got the call. It came to my phone and I noticed that my mom was recording me because it was like a random phone number and it wasn't even from LA because you know like they're usually from LA. It wasn't from LA. So I was like, Mom, I'm getting a phone call. And she's like, you should answer it. And I was like, that's weird. So I answered it. And obviously it was the call and it was the producer. She was like, hey, blah, 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 I'm blah, blah, blah. Do you want to be on American Ninja Warrior? And I was like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
And after I said yes, all my family started cheering. And it scared me. And I accidentally hung up on my producer.
Oh my gosh.
And
no.
And so I tried to keep talking to him while my whole family's like screaming because my family's loud. And I tried to like keep talking to him and I thought he hung up on me, but it turns out I actually hung up on him. So yeah, that was what happened there. It was kind of funny. He was like, because then the next time he called me, he was like, why'd you hang up on me? I was like,
I'm sorry.
I hung up on you?
I think you hung up.
Whoops.
And then, because they filmed season 15 and 16 last year.
Yeah.
I think after the first round of season 15 calls went out, they then sent out calls for season 16, which no one really knew was happening, but some people were posting about season 16. Like, it was such a weird setup. And then I got the call for season 16, and it was, like, all the same feelings all over again. And it's just, like, it's insane and it's, like, such an amazing feeling and stuff
so
that you've,
cool.
like, worked so hard for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it, like, being there, being in the warm-up area, and then walking up the stage for the first time? Like, what were some of the emotions, if you can remember?
I would say it was, like, similar to junior, like, the very first time, because on junior you do so many races that it's, like, it kind of goes away after a bit, and it's just, like, constant nerves. But honestly, I wasn't that nervous. It was weird. It actually scared me a little bit, because when I was in the warm-up area, like, obviously I was nervous, and, like, I wanted to do well and, like, prove myself, but I wasn't, like, freaking out. And then, you know, I stepped up on the starting platform, and it was super surreal. It was really cool, but then I was like, oh, I actually have to, like, I actually have to do this right now. And it was cold, and it was a little rainy. Yeah. But I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm here, so it's fine. That's all that matters right now.
Such a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's what mine was. Like, for qualifying, I was expecting, like, the butterflies and then just, like, the whole thing. Yeah. And I was in the warm-up area, and I felt so good. And I felt just, like, so locked in. And then I was, like, about to go. And, like, all the other teens, like, my day, at least a lot of them that I talked to, were freaking out. Yeah. And I was like, well, I feel like I should be freaking out right now. And I'm not I was like, yeah. And then I walked up the stairs, and I felt fine. Like, it just felt so just, like, locked in and just, like, I'm about to perform.
Yeah.
Can we say? And then
you just slobbered all over.
And then it just, I feel like I just zoned out almost and just, like, did obstacles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't. It's such a good feeling, like, after, to feel like, to be in such a good headspace and then just compete. Like, do you remember your runs? Yeah.
No, not at all. I've noticed, though, after I've competed on the show, I'm way more, like, I remember most of my runs now that aren't the show. It's really weird. Like, I'm way more observant, like, during my, like, just, like, normal runs now that aren't on the show. Yeah. It's really weird.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to remember LA. LA was just really hard for me. Like, my blood sugar was all over the place. It started, like, pouring rain during my run. So that it was overall a really hard night, and I didn't really get to warm up. It was super, super cold. And then, so, like, a normal blood sugar range, and a blood sugar range that feels really good for me to compete in is, like, 100 to, like, 115. I feel really, really good. Anything below, like, they say, like, 65, 70 is, like, low, and then, like, above, like, 180 is high. And if you go too low, you'll pass out. I was competing in LA, at least for, like, the back half of my run. Yeah. And when I poked after, I was, like, 22.
Oh, my gosh.
Which, like, people pass out at, like, 30, 40.
Yeah.
Like,
and you were competing, like,
I was so out of it. I felt so awful. Yeah, it was just so awful. Like, I couldn't. And even if I look back on it, people that know, you can, like, see it in my eyes. Like, I'm looking at the obstacle, and I, like, cannot see this obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was just, like, so awful. And then, yeah, it looked like one of the obstacles, it looked like it was, like, moving back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, getting on it, about to do it, and I was like, I can't see this. I
Yeah.
don't feel like I can even get to it. So, yeah, I feel like that was just, like, a rough night for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Buddy, I can't.
Come here, Oreo.
What do you want? Go get your toy.
Here. Sorry, little puppy break. He's biting Taylor over here. But yeah. What was it like competing like the second time for season 16? Especially after like.
I think I was even less. Well, it's kind of a weird like kind of paradox because I was not as nervous because I knew the drill, but I also and like I had already done everything and proved like myself and my story, but I also wanted to continue living up to that, so it was like scary of like, it's like what if I like fall in the first obstacle and it's like beginner's luck, you know? But I think after you like start going, it just all you just do obstacles. Yeah.
Yeah, dang. How long did you compete in gymnastics? You did.
Well, I started, my mom did gymnastics like her whole life, and so she put me in when I was like 1. Like she started me there, and I never stopped until I quit to start doing ninja the whole time. And that was when I was like 12, right when COVID hit, because all the gymnastics gym closed, and I just never went back.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
yeah.
you
I like grew up in soccer and then just was like.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did soccer for like 8-9 years. Yeah, and it was like I wanted to be like D1 athlete. Like I wanted to do the whole thing.
I wanted to be an Olympian in gymnastics.
Yeah. Like I wanted
dreaming
to do
big.
The whole thing, and then come here, buddy. Oreo. Hold on. Little. Yeah, I want like, and I was doing that, and then I started climbing, and I kind of had to choose because practice was like overlapping so much, and
right.
As I competed, it just wasn't gonna work. So it was figuring that out.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, we have a very wild 7-month-old puppy here who is
hyper. He just wants all the love.
has a lot of.
Here you go.
He has a ball with a treat in it, but he just wants to play fetch with the ball. Oh, buddy.
You're so cute, though.
But yeah, those are little sports.
Yep. Yeah,
What do you like? Are there any other goals within Ninja that you currently like really have? That's like
I don't know. It's hard
because you've done obviously.
Yeah.
So like everything.
Pretty much. 'Cause you know, I think right now it would be to win NSC again, especially after this last finals, which was rough. Yeah, to win NSC finals again would be, would be super cool. But other than that, I don't have, like, if the show were to do another, season, it would definitely be to do well in that and maybe even, like, clear stage 1. But, yeah.
Yeah. How was processing NSC? Especially after all the work and just...
Yeah. I went into it pretty confident because I'd been training really hard for the past couple weeks before it, and I went into hybrid and it went obviously super well. Like, no one else cleared on the girls' side except for me. So I was feeling super confident. I went into speed and I just didn't really feel like myself. It was really weird. I made a couple little mistakes and then I ended up falling. Not really, I just like missed a hand, like that's all that happened. And it kind of threw me off my game a little bit, but after speed I was like, it's fine, just throw it behind you. Like, I was still in a really good place for burnout to move on to the next day. Like, no matter what, because I had done so well in hybrid.
Right.
And then in burnout, I just, had that fluke, and I was just hanging off one arm trying to get that cane off the ground for almost a minute. Yeah. And I actually, I got it up. Right. And started swinging on it. And I've talked to a couple of people, and they actually thought that I just, let go and, fell off the cane, but it actually came out of the, box again, and I just fell on my back. The one arm I'd been hanging on for so long was definitely, it was definitely getting pumped, right. But if I had gotten, that other one into the last hold, I would have been able to keep going. I don't know how far I would have been able to go on, but definitely further. I was feeling it, but not enough to be, completely done. But, when I hit the mat, I was just wow, did that really just happen? And I was just...
Did you know in that moment that you were...
Pretty much. I figured, because it was only, the third obstacle. Okay. And I was the last runner, so I knew what I had to do, basically. And I basically had to get one more point than I did. And it was... When I hit the mat, it was wow, that really just happened. Yeah, it was heartbreaking, and a bunch of the moms just kept saying I hate seeing her so heartbroken, and I'm because that's really how it was. It was super duper devastating. Usually if I don't do well, I don't cry or anything, or if I do, it's very minimal, very quick, and then just move on. Right. But I couldn't. I was so upset. And obviously I didn't want to show that, because right. It's ninja and it happens, right. And I didn't want to act or people to think that I was expecting to move on, which I was, but not in a a privileged way that I'm oh, of course I'm gonna make it. Right. It was more of I'd put in the work to make it there, and to go out on something so fluky like that is really upsetting. So I was definitely down the rest of that night and a couple days after that. And when I got back home, I was I just need to take a couple, maybe even weeks off to just not train hard, which I did. And we were just having fun and doing fun challenges. And now it's I would rather have fallen on a fluke like that than actually doing something that I could not do, right. So it is what it is, but yeah. It'll be fine. Next year, it's not happening,
She's gonna win next year.
I'm coming back.
Taylor Greene is bringing that trophy back to Colorado. Dang, yeah. Yep. Oh, so, yeah. So hard when you put in so much work for so long to miss the thing that you...
I'm sure.
Are working.
You're basically the biggest example of that. Because I'm sure after hurting your knee, it wasn't, anywhere near easy to not compete on the show and continue climbing.
I think missing the World Cups and just national team was so hard. Mm-hmm. I had won a national team and World Cups for 10 years. Right. And it wasn't I literally basically had to compete at team trials mm-hmm. in speed, and I was on the national team. So it wasn't if I'm going to make it, it was I will be on team this year. Yeah. And I was 4 weeks from doing a World Cup. And, yeah. And then it was the same fall that I've done so many times, mm-hmm. and one thing went wrong. In 2 seconds, the whole year was over. Yeah. And I can remember every single thing. I remember what I was thinking before I got on the wall. I remember how much time was left on the clock. Mm-hmm. And then I was climbing. This was my last attempt. It was the last boulder of the round. Mm-hmm. We had lead qualifiers later in that day. And then I did the move, spun off. I can remember the whole motion in slow-mo, yeah. Landed, heard 4 pops, mm-hmm. collapsed, and just screamed. Yeah. It was such an awful pain, even with so much adrenaline, yeah. And the pain from my hip all the way down, and the way I heard the pop, because obviously I didn't know what an ACL yeah. Because you can hear an ACL pop, you can hear the tear, but I didn't know what that sounded
exactly.
And the way it was so loud, all 4 pops.
You can hear it on the recording, because
you can hear it, but yeah, you can
I remember my mom texted me and she was have you talked to Katie at all? And I was no, why? What happened? She goes, I don't really know what happened, but something is not okay. And she sent me the video because she was watching yeah. you on because your mom was live streaming it, and she sent me the recording, and the pop is so loud, and then your scream is just like,
you can like
so sad.
Because I have the other video from my dad's phone, which you can hear better because my mom's scream isn't as loud.
Right.
In it.
Yeah.
And you can you can hear the pop, which I heard 4 of them. The other ones I think was just like the other stuff that I tore.
Yeah.
But I thought I broke like so much stuff. Like I don't even know what I thought. I knew I was done. Like I knew I wasn't competing. I knew Ninja Warrior's out, and then I screamed. I like grabbed my knee, and then I'm just laying there. One of the judges, I think, stand up. Well, I remember the gym just paused. Like to me, it just felt like silence. Yeah. Because it looks like a fairly normal fall.
Yeah.
And then so my like parents came over, and then my dad and like the physician were like down on my knee, like he's examining, he's asking what hurts, and I'm like everything hurts. Yeah. Like it was pain from my hip all the way down to my foot. Yeah. And yeah, so I just hold on, I'm gonna take a little puppy break. And then I'm just laying there, and I'm like, no, not now. I was like, I have speed, I have Ninja Warrior, like everything was going through my head of like and I didn't even know the extent of what I would lose that year. And it was just like the most like heartbreaking feeling of like feeling so prepared for a competition and just like it all being
losing
over.
It all so fast.
All right, we had to take a short intermission to get the puppy something, but we are back now. We're back. Ignore that.
Don't worry.
But yeah, if I see like posts of people climbing that gym in that same area of the wall, it's like it's just like the memories. Like I still have so much trauma from it that and I have like very weird triggers to it as well. But I remember I was like hysterical on the mat for a while, and then my dad like picked me up to take me to the car, and we were gonna go to the hospital. And they cleared out the gym. The only people that were left were the route setters, and then Megan Martin was still there because she was commentating for Team Trials.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And they picked me up, and the first person I looked at was Megan Martin. And the look on her face, it was like the most like devastating, sad look I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And and it was just, and then she like hugged me a few days later, and it felt life was all better. But, it was just so awful. But and I was just like, and then I remember I met with an orthopedic surgeon the next day. We hadn't told Ninja Warrior yet because nothing had been confirmed. My knee was too swollen to do an MRI. Nothing was broken. We were like, maybe it's just like I tore one thing. Like you're hoping for the best here. Next day, I met with an orthopedic surgeon. Still hadn't gotten an MRI. He was like feeling my knee because there's a test you can see if your ACL like stops it. Nothing stopped. He was like, yeah, you tore your ACL. He was like, I don't think you tore your meniscus. He was like, I can't really feel it. We can see with the MRI. Got an MRI like late that night. By the way, crutches are awful. They made me feel very just like weak. I was like, they're so hard to use. Right. But anyway, so I got the MRI, and then my parents got the call the next day. They didn't tell me for a while. They came in and then just like, yeah, you fully tore your ACL, both sides of your meniscus, tearing your MCL, LCL, something connecting to your hip. And I was like, so what did I not tear? Yeah. And with ACL, the first time I heard like the recovery time, it was like 9 to 12 months to basically get back to being able to do what you were doing before. You're not going to be 100%, but you're going to be able to do it. And like that time frame, like devastating. Yeah. Because it's just like, that's a whole year. Yeah. Like that's so.
What am I supposed to do?
What do I do for a year? Yeah. Yeah. And then it was like surgery, and I don't know, it was just so like scary and overwhelming. And then in order to maintain World Cup eligibility, in case I could do one of the World Cups, I had to technically compete at team trials in speed climbing. Yeah. So I had to stand on like the speed pad and then just like lift off. And it was like such an awful feeling. And you see it in the video, like I'm holding on to the start. Yeah. The beeps go, and my brain automatically is like going. So I like my brain, like I start lifting up and I start swinging back, and then I have a moment of like, you're not going anywhere. Like, yeah. And just like, even that feeling was so sad of like, my brain was going.
Yeah, it was ready to
I just couldn't go. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, which they only knew one side of my meniscus was torn, and then they discovered the other side in surgery. I had one of the surgeons was like, you probably also should have dislocated your knee. And I was like, wow.
Glad that didn't happen, but thanks.
Cool. That's good to know. It's like, can you imagine if I dislocated it on top of that? And
Just like
maybe they pop it back in on the mat, maybe not. Like,
yeah, like
on top of like all the other pain.
that would have been, I was gonna say that would have been extremely painful.
And like, oh my gosh, going to the bathroom for the first time after this. Oh, I was like, we were in the hospital, and because of all the stress, my blood sugar was like super high.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally like kind of chilled, and I needed to go to the bathroom. I'm just like in a wheelchair. I can't bend my knee. I can't walk. Like, obviously I can't walk. I can't do anything. I was like, how am I going to go to the bathroom? Like, how does this work? Even when they had to get my weight, I think, so that they could, because they gave me some like fentanyl to that was nice. I could barely stand on like the scale so that they could get my weight.
Yeah.
Like, I walked into the ER. My left climbing shoe was still on. They took my right shoe off on the mat because my foot was getting swollen, so it really hurt. I was like in sort of short shorts, like a crop top t-shirt, bib is on. I still have my chalk bag on, like
in the ER.
I still have a chalk bag on. My left climbing shoes on, and my parents were asking what I wanted, like in food, and I was like, honestly, I just really want one of my tennis shoes, and maybe a sock for the other.
Not a climbing shoe. When you're first like.
But yeah, and then once they did that, they were giving me like a brace and then crutches and stuff, but I couldn't. Like x-rays were awful because my hip was so bad, like the positions were so hard to like be in, and then I wasn't gonna be able to straighten it so that they could put the brace on,
right?
And they're like, well, we can give you some fentanyl to help. I was like, sure. That's gonna help me at this time. So they did that, and then they were like, we need you to chill for a second because we can't have you walking on crutches because you may pass out depending on how you feel with the fentanyl. I was like, okay. I got so giggly. I have a video of this. I'm in the ER after they gave it to me, and I'm just like super giggly and just like delusional. Like, and I'm so tired and over the day anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, very fun day.
Yeah.
It's okay. Oh goodness.
Oh my
This dog
goodness.
He just has a lot of energy
You
today.
lost that yourself. You did that. What in the world?
He's a very big and wild baby.
He is. He's gotten so much bigger.
Yeah, but getting to compete this year will be nice.
Yeah.
I get to go to China again.
Yes.
Maybe France.
Because was that this year or last year that like you couldn't figure out all the stuff with the visa and it was like getting really close to the time you had to like leave?
Year, yeah. So I have a visa because it's like basically like a 10-year long visa. But it was just like by the time that I got a confirmed confirmed start, and I had only been cleared to speed climb for 3 weeks before this World Cup.
Right.
So it was like there's just so many things that were up in the air for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this year everything was like good because I still have my visa. It's just I just got to figure out food a little bit better. Because I just didn't have enough like protein or calories. It's just the food is so different there, and it just tastes so different. Hold on.
Doggy break because he's biting me again.
We are back again from the puppy break. We might have a lot of those. But yeah, so I'm going to China here early April, and then I'll have the Salt Lake World Cup. There's 2 World Cups in France. One of them, Chamonix, is during Youth Nationals, which is my last Youth National, so I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. And then there's the second France stop. It's like right after Chamonix that I think I'll be able to do. So going from, I think I'll probably be flying from Youth Nationals to France for that one, which would be cool.
Yeah.
And then Korea, like, in October. But I might be going back to China again later this year because Youth Worlds, we heard, was in China, which I was like, huh.
Great.
Cool.
More China. More China.
It's just so different.
Yeah.
Like the food it's just not what we're used to, and a lot of the time, like a lot of the meat they have is like we don't know what it is, which I'm not gonna eat like unidentifiable meat in China. Like before I compete. So yeah, had a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches last year.
Awesome.
Some pasta, some oatmeal. So, I need to plan a little bit better in terms of protein. But yeah, I'm excited because the World Cup last year, like I'd only been speed climbing for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Like I just was not in a place to actually compete.
Yeah.
But yeah. And hopefully competing in some ninja this year.
Yes. Hopefully. Hey, you already did one.
That was so scary.
You made it to finals.
Somehow. Miracle.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible. That's crazy. And you qualified for finals. That's crazy.
That was an actual miracle.
Yeah, that was insane.
I wasn't even expecting to make top 10.
I know.
And then I
that's-
did. And I
yeah.
was like, oh.
And not even like 10th place or anything. Like,
What was I in?
I think you were in like 7th or something. I was like, what in the world? She hasn't done ninja in over a year and she's just popping off.
Oh, wait. Megan and I too. Megan decided
Yeah,
to compete the
Megan-
day before.
yeah.
And I was just like, dang.
Yeah, she made top 10 as
I
well.
was in so much pain at the end of the day though.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
But yeah, Megan is our friend. She also tore her ACL, unfortunately. But so we got to experience some recovery together.
Yep.
But yeah. Is there anything else you got for today's
No,
first
it was
episode?
long,
That was
got
very
to
long.
know you.
We apologize.
fun stuff.
We apologize about all the puppy intermission.
Yeah, I don't know why he really likes this shirt though. He
He's been really liking like the super baggy shirts.
interesting.
Like lately. It's very annoying. He started, if I'm like in a chair in the office, I had a bow in my hair. And there's like the ends on the bow.
Yeah.
He jumped up, grabbed the bow, and started pulling it. So I was like pulling my head back, and I can't get it out of his mouth. I can't get this bow off because it's like a scrunchy bow. And then yesterday, the same thing, but I had like a hoodie on.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped up and grabbed like the back of the hoodie and just started pulling it back, and is like choking me. And I'm like, all right, stop. And then I had to tuck it in, and then I untucked it at one point. Second I untucked it, he grabbed it again. Like I was like, are you trying to kill me? What are you gonna do without
What did
me?
I do to you?
One day he's gonna be so good through a whole episode.
He's gonna be such a calm, well-behaved little
hope.
man.
We hope.
One day.
Having a 7-month-old boy from a working dog line is a lot to handle.
My she's not a puppy, she's 4, and she wouldn't be able to handle this, so. Could take.
Podcast or the dog?
Oh. No, the podcast.
Okay.
She would be like in my face,
Yeah.
trying to lick me constantly.
Yeah. Maybe she wouldn't bite you.
No, she wouldn't. She wouldn't be like. Did you see that? He was like trying to pull
He's
me
like
across the-
dragging
I was like, what is happening?
Such a goober.
Oh, such a puppy.
Alright, he's
Yeah.
mad at us.
Yeah,
we
he's
better
angry.
wrap it up and give him take him for a walk or something.
All right.
Alright. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah,
Make sure
thank
you
you.
follow and subscribe and all the other things.
Yeah.
We hope to see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.